Consciousness is what differentiates man from beast. In that a man is conscious, he is able to act rather than merely react to his circumstances. But when it comes to beasts, given that they are unconscious, at least compared to men, they are only ever able to react. They are incapable of action. They react to hunger pains, thirst. They react to threats in their environment. They react to heat or cold or rain by seeking shelter at times, at least when they have decided they do not want to be wet, for it is certainly common for wild animals to sit in the rain. Mankind alone acts, and in this new type of logic can be inferred, that of the praxeological. Within each man there exists the potential for executive function, that is to say, they possess the ability to self-direct their actions in the world, perhaps to attain goals, or perhaps to attain other things. But most of all, to bring oneself out of the unbearable present condition into the more bearable future condition. However, man is not merely a conscious being alone. Within man there exists the animal, the unconscious states of being which drive man towards reaction and the annihilation of thought. Many will call this state of being emotion, and as painful as these emotions can be if left unexpressed, doubly the pain is when man is left to it alone. The long-fought battle for rationality and reason is the never-ending battle within each man. By reason and rationality alone, he materially profits, and in so as well as many others. But through investment of energy towards irrationality or raw emotion, reactionary behaviors, one can only lose. Every emotional outburst that results in any measure of harm is a harm towards all of human progress and threatens the future of our species. In that a man is special, he must always be burdened with the suffering of consciousness. His today will always play second fiddle to his tomorrow. His bestial unconsciousness has forever been interrupted, tossed out of the garden like oh so many heaps of dung from a barn. But where does the grass grow best? Within a garden or without? Certainly not within a cooped-up barn. Though it appears warm and comfortable, it will always degrade into barrenness. Within each man there is a centered whole, and a willingness to act within the real world, in order to extract from it what one requires for flourishing. We stand upon the shoulders of our ancestors, and their collective sacrifice charms us in our youth as privilege, but there is none, nor ever was there ever such a thing as a free lunch. We have our privileges, and they come at a price. The price is to continue the great works of our ancestors, and bequeath them, our descendants, with our legacy, with the purpose that they will do the same in turn. No man or group of men can be said to be good for starving their children. Yet that is what the collectivists propose, if they are not starving them immediately, that is. Why should we accept these terms of being? Why would we ever do such a thing? Conscious man would not lest he have some type of pathology within him. However, this is demonstrated again and again as we hear all the faults of those who produce children, who are described as perverse burdens upon the rest of us. Abortions abound, and where the children are not conceived, the people have rendered themselves sexually inanimate, at least in terms of reproduction. The loving family is a deeply self-fulfilling prophecy of continuum. It is the greatest expression of human being and progress, inconceivable understanding within the grasp of each and every individual. The existence of the human family unit has been brought into question recently. Despite its long-standing positive records, which have yet to be matched by any anti-family, nihilistic, atheistic ideals that sees the existence of family as a preferential treatment which reduces equality between individuals. However, it is also known that those without family to rely upon suffer far worse fates on average than those with families. We need only look at the statistic that half of homeless people come from foster care, despite being a tiny minority of individuals, to understand the poorly thought out logic of the anti-family nihilistic atheist. They see these statistics and think that it would be more wise to deconstruct the success of the stable family unit than to raise up those in foster care into a better care standard. It always comes down to equality through deconstruction rather than the more difficult task of construction. It is easier for a building to collapse due to the gravity always present to lend a hand than to build a new building. We end up with systems filled with people with massive problems growing ever larger as the family unit collapses. In LA, there are over 60,000 homeless people, and although I cannot say that these people become homeless thanks to the slow deconstruction of the family, it would not be unfair to say that it has played some part in at least every single case. Many times, it is accounted for by the state of wages. Many look at the world today and think, what a terrible era in which to raise children, which baffles me. We quite literally as a species have never lived in a better time to have kids. We have never been wealthier. We have never had more opportunity. And I am not merely speaking of the West. There has never been fewer dictatorships. There has never been such a democracy, even per capita. Sure, there are problems as there always have been and will be. We have people such as these anti-family types which continue such empty, bold-faced lies, as if they have some sort of special knowledge to pass down to us. The enlightened ones have become dark and don't know it. Their light fades into the depths of their own darkness, and all who choose to gaze upon it are astonished by its depth. The former projections of light have receded into their own singularity of ego, and in their highest of miseries they project still hope. As the world becomes alight by their fires, they bathe in its warmth, and as the world is consumed, they grow cold, frozen, and upon the last grasp of consciousness, they think to themselves that it was all worth it, in their totally deluded state, that the world deserved this, that they deserved it, alone, with the knowledge of their crimes, unrepentant.